Alright, so we're ready to get started. So before I plug this in, I'm just going to show you a couple tips here. You'll notice that this cutting surface on the blade only extends about 4 inches. You don't want to sharpen up here, there's no point. So you just want to sharpen where it already is. And you basically want to match the grinder angle to that angle. Don't be grinding like this, and don't be grinding straight up and down and making the blade this long, because the blade will be so thin along there it's not going to last very long. So you want to keep a relatively same angle. Don't worry if you change it slightly, it's not a big deal. Because this blade isn't that dull, like it's not chewed out like crazy like some of them, it's not going to take a whole lot. So for demonstration purposes it's pretty good. If it's really chewed out, then you're going to have to do some good grinding. Depending on how coarse your grinding disc is, it may take a little while. But the thing to remember is just try and keep this blade balanced slightly. If you take a lot of material off this one, but yet this one isn't that bad, still take the same amount of material off the other side, because you don't want this blade way out of balance. So anyways, just a few tips to remember. Keep it at the same angle as already machined on the blade itself. You'll notice I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to grind along here a few times. Always keep your strokes very quick. Don't stay at any one place for very long, because you're going to make a groove in it, but B, one thing you need to remember is you don't want any of this blade turning blue. And what that blue color signifies is heat. And if you do that, it heats up too much and the steel loses its temper in that area. Now the problem with that is that blade's going to go dull real fast. Especially if you're hitting rocks or anything, that blade will be dull right away because the steel has no strength left in it because you took the temper out of it. So make sure you don't get it hot when you're doing this. If you find your blade is getting blue, then just shave off another layer and maybe wait a couple minutes and let it cool, and just keep, shaving it away. Just don't get it red or blue and black on the blade cutting point there, because it's definitely gonna wreck the temper in the portion of the blade. So let's get started. Plug in the bench grinder, make sure it's off, throw your hearing protection on, and throw your glasses on. And this is going to be a little loud for the video, so I'm just going to do it and you can watch. So fire it up, and again, just match the same angle, but make it fairly quick. Just like that. You can see where you grind. Here is something that you don't have to do, but if you found you've been grinding for a long time, there's a little bit of slag on the other side here. This is normally hot if you've been grinding, so don't touch it. But I've only been grinding for a few seconds, it's not hot. But I'm going to take one very, very slim layer just of slag off the back here, which is a good idea to do. Just like that. Now keep it razor sharp. So again, just give it a couple more. One you want to do is you want to take a little bit more off the leading edge, just to keep it real sharp. So tip it just a little bit and give it a little buzz like that. And that's all there is to it. Now normally I would take off a little bit more here. There's a few grooves and stuff, but to keep this video short, I'll just keep going here. So what I'm going to show you next is this blade, and I'm just going to show you. You don't have to do this. This is good enough to go on the mower. It's sharp. Just feel it and make sure that it's reasonably sharp. It doesn't have to be razor blade sharp. There's no point, because it's just going to get dull if it's that sharp. But make sure it is sharp. Like if you slid your finger along here, it would cut it. So just be careful of that. But I'm just going to show you what this cleanup disc will do. So for most people this step is very pointless, but I'm really excited about this disc. So I just want to show you, for those of you who are very picky about this and want a factory-like finish on your blades, go ahead and throw on this disc. It's called a flap disc. It's made of zirconia type 29, it says on this one, for stainless steel and metal. There's probably a few different brands out there and different makes and types, but this is just what I had in that pack, and I'm excited to try it for something like this. So anyways, I'm just going to show you, so I'll just plug it back in here. Throw my safety gear on. And this is just going to clean up the finish. Again, this is highly unneeded, but I'm just going to show you for those of you who want to do it. So there's the finished product with the flap disc there, for those of you wanting to do that extra step. Again, it's not needed, but you can see it's there's a little bit of rust from grass on here. I use the wash port, but you can see it's smooth. Like it's very smooth. Now these grooves, like I do a little more work here. I'm just trying to make it short for the purposes of the video, but you can see that the surface is very, very nice, and I kept right along there. It's nice and sharp, which is what you want. And I'm just going to show you the other side, which didn't have the flap disc work done on it. So you can see on this side, I don't know if you can see it very well in the video, but you can see the marks of the grinder wheel on there. Again, not a big deal, but you can see, remember I told you to do 1 or 2 passes along the top there just to make it real sharp. You can see where the sun or the light in the basement here glances off that I did that second angle. So a nice sharp blade. It's going to last well and cut well, and should work fine. So last step is to go throw it back on the mower. Alright, so last step, throw the blade back on. Again, very, very sharp, so you want to be careful in throwing this thing on. Throw on your guard, make sure the blade goes on the right way, not up and down, but I mean the right curve to the blade. Throw it on like that. Now remember, we're going to be tightening the blade the other way, so you got to put the board in the other way. Just finger tighten it for now. Take your piece of wood, and on this mower again, I'm just going to jam it in on here, just like that. Just make sure it's sturdy, because we're going to be cranking this way. Now these are very sharp. Remember what I said about the knuckles. My dad has a huge scar down one of his knuckles from mower blades, from putting them on when they were sharpened. So just be careful if you slip off that you don't hit your knuckles. That's why I like something like this. So I don't need to show you the wrench version again, because you've already seen that way. Just take your socket or your wrench and just give it a tighten. I just put my foot here just to keep it sturdy. I know it's going to come this way, but just keep your fingers out of it. And snug it up. Now if you have a long arm, a strong arm on here or something, don't go nuts with this, especially if you had to get it off with a long arm or a second wrench like I showed you in that little trick. Don't tighten it up that much, because you're never going to get it off again next year or next time you sharpen it. So just give it a good snug, maybe go down on your wrench 8 or 10 inches and go pretty hard, but that's plenty. I mean, you don't want that thing reamed on there, you're never going to get it off again. Alright, so now that we got the blade back on, you just want to double check everything, make sure everything's set up properly. Make sure that these tips are even with regards to the bottom of the mower, because they better be, or you're going to get some real uneven grass. And make sure you got your bolt tight, but not too tight, because with the expansion and contraction of the heat generated by the engine here on the shaft, that bolt's going to be tight next time you take it out. So don't go nuts with that, but just make sure it's snug. And just give it a quick rotation. Just make sure it's not binding anywhere, and that everything's free. And if there's any grass or anything lodged in here when you go to put it back on, just make sure you clean it up. And good to go. For those of you who watched my video on this mower 1 year ago when I bought it, did the review on it, I have nothing bad to say about it. This mower is awesome. Had no issues whatsoever with it. I've put on 15 or 20 hours, done the maintenance on it, put in a new air cleaner, spark plug at the beginning of the season here. I had changed the oil in fall, so I didn't need to do that yet. And it's been great. It still cuts awesome, still starts 1 to 2 pulls. I have no complaints whatsoever about it. Great mower. I highly recommend it if you're looking for a mower that is reliable, starts easy, and does a very good job cutting. And I love the personal pace system. Nothing bad to say, and I hope you enjoyed this and learned something about sharpening blades. Again, like I say, it's a fairly easy thing to do, but for those of you wondering, because I get asked the question quite often, just go nuts and have at her. If you got the tools, why not, right? So take care and happy mowing.